Hey guys, how the hell are you? Today I would like to go over some bodyweight squats, bilateral and single leg that you can do at home in order to get stronger and maybe clear up a few asymmetries that you might be experiencing. Let's rock and roll. Today I want to go over some bodyweight squats. Wide squat, narrow squat, and a single leg version. For the wide squat, what you're going to do is you're going to sit up with your legs just about shoulder width apart and feet can be slightly turned out. Now with all your squats, whether they're body weight or if you have resistance, you want to make sure that you control the weight down. Don't let gravity or the weight that you're holding take you down. You want to control it down using your glutes. So for instance, what you want to do, again, shoulder width apart, I like to use a T-Rex arm position, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hips back. I'm going to keep the weight on the posterior portion of my foot, kind of towards the heel, and I'm just going to come back and I'm going to hinge at the hip. And then I'm going to pause at the bottom. I'm going to exhale, I'm going to draw my belly button in, and I'm going to drive up. Again, you're going to control the motion down, you're going to pause, you're going to exhale, and you're going to push up. So from the side, it would look something like this. Come down, control, and then exhale, drive. Now what you don't want to do is go down to the point where you come down so far that you've hit a structural limitation and you start to get into a tuck butt position. All we want to do is come down to a comfortable position, load your glutes again, exhale, drive. Now, there's a couple of things that I see. A lot of the time people like to do a knee squat where they let the knees start to come forward and they start to push their femurs that direction. You don't want to do that. Everything, again, you're just hinging at the hip. And when you get to this bottom position, what you want to make sure that you do, again, is just utilize the glutes to drive yourself up. Don't use your back, drive through the hips, and come on up. Now, for a narrow squat, same rules apply, only with a narrow squat, you're going to be a little more limited on the range. And because you're going to hit a structural limitation before you would if you were utilizing a wide squat. So, for narrow, you're going to be about hip width apart. Okay? Same thing. You're going to come back and down. You're going to pause. You're going to exhale. Drive up. From the side, again, your motion's going to be a little more limited. You're going to come back. You're going to pause. Exhale. Drive. Now, there are a couple of variations that you can do for your body weight squat. Okay? So if you feel like you don't have a lot of balance, we'll do a wide squat first. What I would do is I would implement a little bit of shoulder flexion into the movement so that when you come back, it feels like you're able to hinge a little bit better. Your balance is probably going to be a little bit better. You can exhale and drive. You can come down, pause, exhale, and drive. As we age, the simple act of getting in a seated position or getting out of that seated position can get more difficult. So what I usually see with some clients when they come in, they have a hard time just sitting in a chair. And what I mean by that is when they go to sit, they get to about right here and then they just fall into it. And when they try to get up, they have to lean or use their arms to come up. So if you're experiencing some of that weakness, what I would suggest is I've got a few cushions here that I've added to a chair. You can add more or you can add less depending on how comfortable you are or how strong you are. And these cushions are a little bit soft, so maybe something that was a little bit more dense would probably be a little bit better. But what I would have you do is just lower yourself down to where you feel comfortable, you pause, and then you exhale and you drive up. And as you get stronger and stronger, you can allow it to come down just a little bit, and then exhale, drive up. And you don't necessarily need a chair with this. You can do it when you're sitting in the couch, when you're sitting in your chair in your living room. All those are viable options. Now for your single leg squat. Single leg squat is going to be pretty advanced, and there are many different ways to do it. What I like to do, or how I do it, is I just simply lift one leg just a little bit off the ground. This helps me maintain my pelvis. There are options of where you take the leg forward, and you can also have the leg come back just a little bit, but when I do that, I feel like my pelvis shifts and it's hard for me to maintain a neutral position. So what I do is I just slightly lift the leg off the ground, T-Rex arms again, and then simply I just come back, keeping the weight on the heel. I pause, I exhale, and I drive up. Again, I come back, hold, and then drive. One thing that you can do is you can do a brace, and there's a couple of ways to do a brace. You can do a brace with a chair, which I'll show you in just a second, and you can also slightly brace with your opposite foot. So you can kind of keep it down as you come back and get the feel for the motion. There's not going to be a ton of weight on this leg, and then you're just going to exhale and drive. You can also use a chair for your bilateral squat. For instance, when you come back, you can kind of hold on to the chair just a little bit, and then exhale, drive up. Same thing with the single leg. So for the single leg, you're going to brace with the opposite arm. For this, I'm going to be utilizing my left leg. My right leg is going to be up. I'm going to hold with my right arm. And all you're going to do, again, is you're going to come back, nice and slow. You're going to exhale and drive. Remember, controlling that motion on the way down, or that eccentric motion. Just a few things on your single leg squat. One thing you want to keep in mind is that you want to keep your pelvis as level as you can. And what I mean by that is you don't want to hike too high, and you don't want to let it drop to where you feel that pelvis or your hip shift over to that opposite side. You want to kind of keep it level, come back and down, and then drive.